Now the probability is quite simply the chance of something happening, and that something is called an event. And before we do anything else, I want to look at what the probability scale is and how we can use that to decide what probabilities are. The probability scale shows the range of possible outcomes for an experiment. The scale itself goes from impossible up to certain, and even chance is in the middle. This is for when we're using words to describe probabilities. Two other words we often use would be unlikely, which would be between impossible and even chance, and likely, which is between even chance and certain. And they're the 5 main words we would use to describe a probability. We can also use numbers. Impossible would be using the number 0. Certain has a probability of 1, and all probabilities are between 0 and 1. That makes our even chance a half, or 0.5. And hopefully you can now see that unlikely and likely would be numbers between either 0 and a half or a half and 1. If we look at percentages, impossible would obviously be 0%, even chance would be 50%, and certain would be 100%. Okay, so we're now going to look at words to describe probabilities of events happening. And the first one we've got up here is that July is the month after June. Now that is always the case. So this probability, using words, we would describe quite simply as being certain. And that's all they're looking for in these questions, is just a single word to describe that probability. Let's look at another one. The next one asks us to write down the probability of the chance of throwing a head when you toss a coin. Now we know that a coin has 2 sides, heads and tails, and if it's a fair coin, the chances of getting either are exactly the same. So the probability here would be even chance. Now if we're going to write probabilities as numbers, we're very often going to use fractions. So here's a slide explaining how we construct those fractions. Generally, probabilities are written as fractions using the following rule. The number of favourable outcomes in your experiment over the total number of possible outcomes in your experiment. Now it's always important you make sure you simplify the fraction answer as much as possible. So let's look at an example now where we have to write a fraction as our probability. In this question here it says, in a pack of playing cards, what is the probability of picking a red king from the pack? Now before we can do this, we need to know how many kings there are in a pack of cards, as well as how many cards there are in a pack of playing cards. Now it's a very useful number to remember. There are 52 cards in a pack. And that's actual playing cards, not including jokers. And in terms of kings, there are 4 kings. The king of spades, king of clubs, king of diamonds, and king of hearts. Now out of those 4 kings, only 2 of them are red, the king of diamonds and the king of hearts. So there are 2 red kings in my pack. And that's 2 out of the 52. So the probability, therefore, of me picking a red king, which we can write as the probability of a red king, is going to be 2, the number of red kings, over 52, the total number of cards in the pack. Now remember, whenever we write a fraction as an answer, we have to make sure it's in its simplest form. 2 over 52 simplifies to 1 over 26. In this next one, we've given a word, and they want us to write the probability of getting a letter from that word. So let's have a look. The word is mathematics, and it says a letter is chosen at random from the word above. If I pick a letter at random, what is the probability of choosing a vowel? So we should all know that our vowels are the letters A, E, I, O, and U. Now, not all of those letters are in my word, so I now have to look at the word and find out which letters, or how many of them, are vowels. So if we take a look at the word mathematics, I have an A, an E, another A, and an I. So in total, I have 4 vowels in the word mathematics. So the number of vowels I have is 4. And the number of letters I have in my word altogether, we can count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 11 letters in total. And these are the 2 numbers I'm going to need to write my probability. And my final answer is the probability of selecting a vowel when I pick a letter is 4 over 11. Now that fraction can't be simplified, so we leave it as it is.